All right. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining. I think we got everybody pretty much connected. I think we can get started. So today we have our 9.3 product release webinar. And I want to introduce here, we have Dmitry Karpov as our key speaker. He is our co-founder and chief product officer. Dmitry actually has had lots of roles in the company, chief strategy officer and now chief product officer. Also, he for some time he was in charge of marketing. So Dmitry knows our company and our product very well. He's the most qualified to be here today with us and speak about the product and the new features and integrations that we bring to you. So without further ado, I pass the word to Dmitry, and we will go on this ride with him. All right, Dmitry, take it away.
Thank you, Tiago. Great to see everyone on joining online. As always, big pleasure to talk to ElectroNeek community. And as always, let's use this opportunity to talk. So I don't think I will take more than 15 minutes giving the overview of the features that enable, I think, a very significant change in the way automation is being delivered and what's being automated as well. This webinar as a standalone, event doesn't have that much value as a synergy in between this event and something we do in 2 days, a more technical show of the actual features and how they work inside the product, including building bots. And that's something I encourage you to attend if you find the content of today's event interesting. If you'd like to better understand what we're talking about today when we talk about specific cases or about business implications of AI coming into the world of workflow automation of RPA, then definitely take a look at the event we do on Thursday. That will be very useful. I also invite your technical teams because I promise you, once you learn what's possible, you would like your teams to start building things like that. So today I'm going to talk about our new release briefly and what specifically changes in the business of delivering service automation internally or servicing clients with automation. So whenever your service business is located from North America to South America to Middle East to Australia, where we have clients as well, and I think I can see someone joining from there, the same trends. And maybe they is a bit earlier, maybe they're a bit later compared to what I'm going to discuss today. But Tiago, I see that people are asking for a link to register for the demo. It's yes. Thursday. If you can join on Thursday, you can of course book time with our team any day. But hopefully you will be able to attend. Okay, so let's get started. Let me share my screen. Okay, ElectroNeek 9.3. We released it, I think, April 17, which is a bit less than 2 weeks ago. And we already see that the core features of this release in Studio, adding ability to work with GPT during bot creation and bot execution, is getting a lot of momentum. We can see that more than half of ElectroNeek developers already tried or is trying now to build smarter bots that they can do more. And that's essentially the goal of this meeting, is to understand, okay, why bots need to become smarter, what's here for business, what's here for developers. So in our 9.3 release, there are 2 activities that we added in Studio in OpenAI tab of activities that called Ask AI and Edit Text. Both of these activities allow the bots or the developer to interact with language models like GPT during the bot execution. So now at every step of the bot, like you did before with drag and drop activities, you can create a call to ChatGPT to send any request you want to get the response and to use this response in further execution of bot. And for many automation leaders, when they first got introduced to such concepts, bots interacting with GPT during the execution, they think about conversational AI, human interfaces, ability of RPA bot to be a chatbot. That's in fact is a very narrow area to use conversational AI in automation. And I want today to expand your horizons of understanding of how this has practical implications for business use cases And what does it mean for your business? So let's focus for the simplicity of this webinar on Ask AI activity, which allows you to send a prompt to ChatGPT and get the response. By the way, we made both of these activities free. You can use ElectroNeek token, and we provided each of our existing customers with significant amount of credits. So you don't even need to create any OpenAI accounts to be able to use this. So the first thing I want you to carry out of this webinar is about number of cases that can be automated for a client. Many of you, if you're on the sales, on the management side of managed service provider, you had these conversations with prospects about, do you have a routine in your business? I can help you to automate it. I can improve efficiency of your business. And the answer typically is yes to these questions. It's hard to believe that I'm, as a CEO of a potential client, do not have enough automation cases. But the rubber hit the road all the time when it came to what's the human value add in the execution of process? Is a decision need to be made, or we're talking about rule-based processes? And for the last 10 years or so, RPA was all about rule-based processes because it wasn't about judgment. It was about, can we turn an instruction for an employee into a bot workflow? And the fundamental question for each step was the bot needs to be able to understand what's need to be done and needs to be able to execute. You don't want a bot to stuck during the execution process because they don't know what to do next. Of course, sometimes that happens and you bring human in the loop to validate, to approve something. But in general, you pick up processes to automate where there's a clear decision-making or, let's say, logic framework for the bot, what to do. So in the past, the bots operate with data, they digest the data, and then they were looking for application of the rules the developer created. If something is greater than, do this until then. And that was about creating a scenario, essentially, for each logical branch in your workflow. And it doesn't mean that only simple process can be automated. No, we all automated very heavy routine processes that had only rule-based logic inside them. And there's great ROI on such processes, but their number compared to the whole universe of processes that our clients have is still very limited. So what if bots can understand the context of the data they receive without creating scenarios for them, find relationships, making conclusions from this data, and then to start executing? And that may sound futuristic. In fact, it is not. And let me show you in a very simple example, what could it mean for an automated process on the client side. We recently demoed that bot in our collaboration with RPA Master Portal to demonstrate how two AI activities that ElectroNeek brought up to the market this spring can work together to create powerful workflows that can be built literally in 30 minutes. So think about this. You do have a folder with unpaid invoices that you issue to your clients, and there are 50 invoices out there. If you're a service provider, you know that billing is an important part of the work. There are dozens of clients. They all have dozens of employees. Each of them uses dozens of softwares, all different licensing cycles. And now you need to invoice all of them. So you keep a track of invoices that are unpaid. And there's a whole job about sending reminders. And these reminders better to be human-like reminders. That's proved in the market that if invoice reminder is perceived by those who receive the invoice as a human-generated, that their likelihood to pay sooner is going up. So let's take a look how these bots may operate. Let's say we have a scanned invoice that has company name, whatever information is needed, and we do have IntelliDocs that can process with AI any scanned invoice to extract data in a structured way. So when we feed this data further to any step in the automation, the bot exactly would know that it feeds not just random words, but it knows that inside its model there is invoice date, invoice number, customer name, contact email, and it's all included into the structured model that bot carries in JSON file further. So now a new step, Ask AI. We take a prompt, human-like prompt, and we say, take a look at this invoice date and compare this invoice date to the due date, to today's date. Sorry, take the due date, compare it to today's date. Closer it is, write an email that is more strict and harsh, but still professional. That's a prompt anyone can create. And then the bot will go through all 15 invoices in the folder or an email, and depending on the due date, maybe they're past due already, we'll create a powerful human-like email reminder, send this email to accounting professional for an approval before sent to a client, and that approval will be the only portion of work that is left to humans. Would it be possible a year ago to create such bot? Yes, but in this case, developer would need to create all the templates of the texts, to write down all the logic for the scenario, create a table that has ranges of the date that they consider acceptable for a certain bracket, and make the bot operate with such logic. Identify the date, go to the table, find, determine the level of tone. The tone is red, pick up the red template, then insert all the variables from the model that IntelliDocs extracted to the template, send it. So the same bot now can do a process that in the past was really hard to create from RPA developer perspective, because you need to cover a lot of scenarios. And even if the bot provides, let's say, moderate ROI in itself, the level of effort needed to build it and maintain is much bigger. Plus, you likely would need to have someone with copywriting skills to check all these templates. That's something that does not exist anymore. The Ask AI will do that for you. And that's just a simple example. Let's take a look at something that has much more implication. I think is much easier to digest from business case perspective for someone who runs a managed service business. Support tickets. Processing tickets, I think, is a great, like, holy grail area of automation internally for managed service providers in 2023 and 2024. Why? Because like that invoice, the bots can read emails that looking for tickets to identify what tickets they received, to understand the context of the tickets, and then to perform an action. So we will demo this bot on Thursday. Please take a look. And we actually add in this bot to the bot library inside our product, so you can download it there and modify for your organization for, let's say, professional service system that you use. What do you think is a fundamental problem we're solving here? Professional service automation systems sometimes are integrated with software that is used by managed service providers for clients, sometimes not. And quite often, if they are integrated, still API is a secondary thing for many vendors that work with managed service providers. So the support ticket comes as email. And let's say this email has incident number or company ID in the header. Then some standard integration of tools like Connect, Wise, Manage can pull this email, put it into PSA system, attribute it to the right client, and then it will be up to for a human to provide the support. Let's see how the game changes here with OpenAI. First of all, you can make the bot parse the whole email body and exercise the judgment of their best opportunity to first of all figure out that's an invoice in front of us. Second one, to understand the context, what happened, what needs to be done next, who is the client, to whom to escalate this ticket. And then, of course, due to the GUI level capabilities and API, you can create this ticket inside a PSA. If it's a common PSA, use API. If it's more unique, you can use graphic user interface, whether it's a PSA system or any other place where you want the ticket to be recorded and where you want the escalation, if needed, to happen. We did internal tests on these bots, trying different examples of tickets. Sometimes we used very rude examples with F words inside it. And GPT always was able to assign the right level of severity based on tone. Now, we tried this bot not using the tickets, but reading the tweets that have mentions of your company, which is another example of more proactive customer support, trying to identify if the tweet is talking about a product issue to, again, create a ticket. We processed the bot on tickets like I need to be re-logged into my Oracle or logged out of my Oracle account. And GPT understands well what's need to be done. That's about, okay, now you understand what's need to be done. As a RPA developer, you create scenarios. And in some of these scenarios that are about minor cases that have very specific, simple action that can help to remediate, if that's possible, you trigger the auto remediation. You can trigger the whole reset of some specific customer Oracle account or rebooting their machine or whatever you want, depending on your ability to identify common escalation cases. Bots can read a variety of tickets, combining them into one. For instance, we use that internally in ElectroNeek. Bots are reading our tickets to identify if the issue becomes common across clients. That helps to escalate and combine and easily address these issues. But in fact, in many managed service providers, 10% of FTEs are all about monitoring tickets and making sure that tickets are synchronized with professional service automation system, because this can be part of service level agreement with the client. So this bot is internal when it comes to clients would not see that bot. That's about internal efficiency, but think about the quantum loop between state of the automation yesterday, even in managed service context, and current state of automation, which universe of cases went significantly up, and automation, in fact, becomes much more powerful from ROI perspective. Does it mean you can replace more resources with bots? I think it means that you can allocate time of these resources better, at least, specifically when it comes to tickets. When you take all the time that is taken by routing and analysis, and we'll put this time into remediation, then I think the benefit in terms of better client service becomes very, very clear. So the ease of development. You would need to see that on Thursday, but essentially the art of building good automations in the RPA context become the art of not knowing programming language to treat in corner cases, or knowing the science of GUI elements automation better than others. It becomes a twofold thing. First of all, you need to be very logical in terms of being able to construct the logic of the process. That's where GPT helps a lot, and we do have something in the lab that we hope to release this summer to help you with that, creating the workflow out of some other inputs than just building the workflow on the canvas. But that's still the logic of the process is something that RPA developers is in charge for ultimately. But then is about thinking, instead of building a process branch, can I create a reliable prompt to ask AI to simplify the development and to make the client, the user experience of the bot better, make it more human-like if you want, if it's conversation involved, or make it smarter when it comes to an example of tickets, for instance. So using drag and drop, being logically oriented, thing remains. Knowledge of programming languages, likely not, because you don't need to create complex logic anymore. You can use GPT for that. Templates for communications. In the past, if you're building a bot that has good, let's say, conversational component to essentially be an interface with the user, you thought about copywriter needed to be on this project because you typically it's a different skill set. Now it's all in one. And features like in edit text we have will allow to turn all of your developers into full-scale communication professionals when it comes to ensuring that the bots speak and understand what the users say well. So art of prompts becomes more important. And I think that if you're a developer, you should consider training yourself and creating great prompts. We're going, of course, to populate more and more recipes that will have examples and practical examples and downloadable bots that will leverage the prompts. But that becomes an important skill. So can be trained, can be acquired, probably not so big pool of talent to get acquired now, but there are many jokes about being a chief prompt officer about now in the market. These jokes come to the point of like, oh, should we hire someone who is great only in doing prompts to GPT type of language models? Probably not, but when you would see on practice how the development becomes faster, you would think that probably a good prompt here saves more time than you can think about in the past. So think about these changing requirements for the role. Think about how potentially you can better evaluate candidates, giving them practical exercises of creating good prompts, analyzing, let's say, a ticket or a customer complaint or something, and play from there. This field will be evolving a lot, and the skill set will be changing a lot coming from this year through. We're still not talking about the development of automations, of good practical automations, fallen into something that users do themselves. No, simple things. And I think Office 365 will bring a lot of these copilot opportunities in the future. But for the processes that happen across multiple systems, we likely would see the workflow with GUI capabilities that RPA has. So the business, I think, is getting even better than before. Yes, it becomes more dynamic in terms of that likely will become a point of differentiation between different managed service providers who approach similar clients with their offerings. Try to build cases that you can showcase to clients that show them things like this to open their mind about what can be automated, as before clients buy based on their understanding. So your goal is to educate clients, showing them practical cases. Use ones that we have in recipes. We add in more. Specifically, there's a GPT section there. You can filter by that. Attend our event on Thursday, and please feel free to ask any questions. If you wrap up, great time for internal efficiency gains on the managed service provider side. I think we said it many times, but all our clients who are successful in providing automation to clients as a service have significant adoption of RPA and other intelligent automation tools internally. Reopen the opportunities that were closed in the past because you found that applying rule-based logic was not a good feasible way to move on the case forward. It was either hard to build or it was impossible to build. And think about whom you're going to hire next to use ElectroNeek or other intelligent automation tools and what should be their skill set. Definitely creating prompts to GPT is going up. Definitely the knowledge of programming languages and UI element science going down. And we'll be happy to answer any questions. Feel free to use this QR code to book meeting with my team or attend our webinar on Thursday, or do both of that, because of course in one-on-one session here, there's greater opportunities to see and learn. Okay, thank you. Let's jump to the questions.
Everybody, feel free to drop in some questions either in the Q&A or in the chat. Let's take advantage that Dimitri's here with us. I think more questions will come after the technical demo. Okay, how is your software delivered? Here we have the question from Dean in the chat. Okay, how is your software delivered? Is cloud-based? Can it be deployed internally or on cloud infrastructure?
So it's integrated with integration through our API, but we provide an ability to use either our API token or your client or your own API token. So it's cloud-based, it's cloud infrastructure, and you can pick up what's the most comfortable way. Some of our managed service providers kind of value a lot the opportunity to create an account for the client with OpenAI and use their token, because in this case, that's completely responsibility of their client. Like Zapier type. Okay, Dean, so I think you're asking a more fundamental question. So how the bots that we're talking today are being delivered. And there are a couple of ways to do that. That's pretty much this relatively standard RPA approach. Unlike Zapier, these bots run on virtual or physical machines in the real infrastructure. So you can leverage existing infrastructure or create new virtual machines for that. We are working on SaaS product that will essentially allow you to run like Zapier. We actually we are the only one platform that has Zapier integration. So you can think about everything that could happen in SaaS as part of the Zapier workflow, and then extends to everything that cannot be done in SaaS due to the flexibility or the need to work on the GUI level. But again, for many managed service providers, that's a very preferred way to do the business, because it's pretty much takes off some of the concerns regarding the security from their shoulders, because it's the client infrastructure.
Okay, we have a couple more in the chat.
Yes, rather than The answer is yes. GPT-4 is already integrated. So we need to pretty much check the settings of the models. Some, I think, users already have GPT-4, some using GPT 3.5, but it will be 4 very, very soon on all of the machines. How do your bots interact with on-premise systems? They interact with them on the level of graphic user interface, controlling mouse and keyboard and hotkeys and dozens of other things that became kind of fundamentals of robotic process automation domains. From the questions I see, I think it would be very useful for you to attend the technical event we do have and to meet with our team to learn more about how RPA works in general. What is a bot, what is a bot runner, what is the orchestrator, and so on.
Okay, we have 2 more in the Q&A section, Dimitri.
So there is a question about the templates for prompts. Essentially, if the bot uses SKI, then the prompt will itself, then the step itself, SKI, will be prompt. So you will be writing your prompts, that's true, or leverage something that you can download from our recipes. But the prompt itself is not the template for the answer. The answer would not be templated, but it's essentially a template for the question. And you can see in examples of invoice processing bot, there is a very, let's say, structured prompt, because we need to tell the GPT that you need to extract from this JSON file the company name, the invoice number, and so on. So it's pretty much a series of prompts built in one. There is a question about the process mining tools, whether we include in our offerings for MSPs. No, we do not include them, but we can suggest you a couple of tools that are popular in the market. We think it's a standalone, separate competency, and for now, we prefer to coexist with providers of process mining and task mining software.
Okay, and then there's again one more in the chat.
The ability to keep the conversation history with a prompt session, yes, of course, and that's something that many of our customers value. By the way, it's not only about keeping the conversation history within a prompt session. You can think about the bot saving the results of the conversation for the next run. So it's interesting that with RPA, you can make bots essentially reusing some of the prompts they received during the previous sessions in the execution of a new one. There is a question, do we have a control room server and client set up for ElectroNeek? So the orchestrator essentially is a control room, but you can create a separate control rooms for the clients if you want. In this case, they need to be users of their own orchestrators, and your managed service orchestrator will have their orchestrators as tenants. So that's how the infrastructure works. And then they need to download the bot runner to install on the machine where the bots will be run.
All right. Awesome. I don't see any more questions. I've dropped in the chat there again the link for the technical webinar on Thursday. So I think we're good for today. Thank you so much, Dimitri, for coming out and speaking to our audience. Thank you, everybody, for coming out and joining our webinar. And we'll see everybody on Thursday.
Thank you. See you on Thursday. Have a good day.
Cheers. Bye.